For the next 10 minutes, you're going to be joined by Chetwayo aboard. He's with us via Zoom. Set, good morning to you, man.
Good morning, Stefan Miss Synergy TV and all of our viewers locally, internationally, and of course, regionally.
That's right.
All right, so topic this morning, when profit controls research, why important studies get buried. Now, this is something I usually highlight on my consultations because a lot of things about nutrition people are unaware of. So when I show them the research, it's usually very surprising to them. But let's go into that a little bit because, when people hear the word, when they hear research says, they stop thinking. They stop thinking, they stop questioning, they stop analyzing because there's assume that because something is called research, it must be neutral, right? But that's one of the biggest mistakes people could make because research cost money, studies cost money, clinical trials cost money, long-term follow-ups. All of these things cost money. So before we ask, what does the research say, we must also ask who funded the research. And even deeper than that, which research was pushed in front of the public? And which research were also buried in the clutter because that is where people get confused. Sometimes the truth is not absent, right? Sometimes the truth is simply not promoted, right? Sometimes the studies exist, but people never see it, right? Sometimes the evidence exists, but it gets drowned out by the noise, and that noise is not accidental. Research follows funding. And funding follows profits, and profit follows products that can be sold over and over again. And this is why, certain drugs can have study after study, trial after trial, paper after paper, headline after headline, right? They show up everywhere, right? Especially right now, like the GLP-1, that's the, the, what you call it, the Manjaro and Ozempic. That's the GLP-1 stuff. That's showing up everywhere now. Right?
Everywhere, yeah.
Yeah.
Some people on that Ozempic,
Correct.
Yeah.
Because they're using the same strategy because of the funding, So it's placed in front of doctors, in front of institutions, in front of the media, all over in the public. So people seeing it constantly. So they're thinking that, because I'm seeing this constantly, this must be the answer. Right? But we have to understand not because something has more visibility means that it is true. Right? Right? Sometimes it...
Go ahead.
Exactly. Right? Sometimes it only means it just have more money behind it. Right? It's more marketing behind it. All right? So, now that shows that the system with regards to studies is based off of something, dealing with financials, right? And it keeps being repeated. So, but let me also make it clear. I'm not saying that there's no studies supporting proper nutrition, right? That would definitely not be true. There is studies, there's very strong research, systematic reviews, meta-analysis. Yeah, they're among the highest levels of studies showing the power of nutrition and food quality and animal source nutrition, things how they affect blood sugar control, metabolic correction, and restoring the body's internal environment. But many of those studies, they do not get pushed into people's faces. Especially in the same manner in which drug studies get pushed. They don't always get the same promotion. They don't get the same kind of headlines, the same kind of institutional report. All right. And there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. Why these nutritional studies get blurred or buried in the clutter. Right. And people think what is out there and is shown and is the loudest is what is most true. And that's not true. But let's understand why, because we must understand the business behind the research. A drug can be patented, right? A drug can be patented. Now, for those that don't know what patented means, it means a company could legally own the rights, a product or a formula or an intervention for a period of time. And that gives them control over who can produce it, who could sell it, and who could profit from it. So if a drug company develops a drug and that drug can become a protected product, it can be marketed, it can be prescribed, it can be sold repeatedly, so it can generate income for years. But food is different. Natural foods cannot be owned in the same way. A natural way of eating cannot be controlled like a pharmaceutical drug. The nutrients the body needs to build the tissues, the hormone, the repair cells, support the immunity, and restore function. That you cannot be turned into some kind of patented drug model. So the financial incentive is very different, right? Now, that doesn't mean food has no science. It means, food does not have the same financial machine behind the science. And this is where people must start thinking. When a drug shows promise, money appears, investors appear, institutions appear, marketing appear, right? You have medical education appears, guidelines appear, right? But the nutrition shows promise, but when nutrition shows promise, especially nutrition that can reduce dependency on medication, that machine doesn't move with the same force.
Correct.
And then people say there are not enough studies. But the deeper question is, why are there not more studies on nutrition? Or why is it so scattered? Why they are not placed in front of the public when studies are done on nutrition? All right? And that's because it's not only about science, it is economics. It's about funding and visibility and control. All right? And this is why people must stop worshiping the phrase the studies say, because the first question is what kind of study? Was it observational study? Was it an experimental study? Was it a clinical trial, a randomized controlled study? Was it a systematic review? Meta-analysis, umbrella review, right? Because you see, a lot of people chase the headlines and they don't go into detail and look or read the study itself. And that's where the problem comes in, because a lot of those studies can show correlation and not causation. But the headline makes a good topic, right? It would trend, it would go viral, the headline, and that's what they go after.
If you want to understand what's really happening inside your body, I break it down in detail in my book, You Are Not Sick, You Are Malnourished. It's available on Amazon and Gumroad, RIK bookstores nationwide, Nelson's bookstore in Tobago, or directly through the clinic.
Right? And these things now are pushing a drug, and those drugs not fixing your issues. The drug just requires you to take it on a regular basis. What would somebody choose? If you are a financer, you would choose to create a product that would take people off of drugs, and that product cannot be patented, or you would prefer to get people on a product that they have to use repeatedly, probably for the rest of their life, where they now have to buy your product repeatedly, right? It's going to be the money maker. That is what's going to be the money maker. So people are out here and they are chasing medications that are simply in the business of managing symptoms, where nutrition is what is going to reverse the disease itself. But that is not being pushed. That is not being pushed at all. Because if it is pushed, it can cripple the pharmaceutical industry. It could cripple the supplement industry. Because now there is a means that could actually and truly help people.
Right.
And that product, which is created by nature, cannot be owned by anyone. So people are out here, and I would say they are literally out here making choices based on what they're seeing in media, because they're always seeing things popping up. Hey, this is backed by so much of studies, but can you live without it? No, you have to constantly be taking it. That makes no sense. That makes no sense, right? And what I tell people is when there is a knowledge gap, manipulation and advantage take place. Let me draw a reference to something that has nothing to do with health. Now, remember, I published my book last November, right? Mid-November, coming down to the end of November. So since I published my book and then I got it in RIK bookstores December, people have called me and asked me about how you got your book into, RIK bookstores, right, and whatnot. What is the procedure? Because they understand that it is very expensive to do so. When I hear them say expensive to get your book into a bookstore, and then you know how algorithms operate. I saw an ad on social media, and there's a guy saying you have a publishing company. So he said, in the ad, he says, your book has been printed and published, right? Now, how do you get it in bookstores? And he's saying that his organization helps people get their books into bookstores. So I say, So I say, all right, let me give him a call. Even though my book is already in the bookstore, I said, let me give him a call to find out, so I could tell people, So when I called him, he told me to get the book into the bookstore, my book that is already published and printed. It costs $20,000. $20,000, yeah. How much did I pay to get my book into the bookstore? Well, you might have to calculate this. It took me getting up from home, taking my book and going to RIK bookstore and asking them, hey, do you all take books, local books on consignment? And they said, yes, just send us an email letting us know what's the price you want to sell the book for and so forth. And they'll get back in contact with me in a month. How much that cost me? Right?
Gas money?
That's it. That's it. So something that costs just traveling money, someone is charging people $20,000 for simply because of ignorance. Ignorance. When you do not know, people take advantage of you. We do not live in a nice world. It's a dog-eat-dog world out here. And people need to understand that. If you do not know about nutrition and your biology, your physical body, the healthcare system, the pharmaceutical system, the herbal system, the naturopaths, they are all going to take advantage of you, which is what has been done constantly. This is why I wrote my book. I took the information, the scientific studies that have been lost through the clutter with the overwhelming amount of drug studies that hiding and being pushed on the forefront. I wrote my book and I took that scientific data that people not seeing and I brought it to the forefront so people could understand, so we could stop being taken advantage of, right? The world is not fair and we need to understand that. We need to understand that people are out here injecting people with toxic gas and telling them it's treatment, right? And we out here taking that and thinking, oh, it's new technology. It's new technology, right? No, people, it is a new means to take advantage of you, to get access to your money, to your funding, while at the same time, you're not getting any better. You're getting temporary relief, and then you're going to end up with long-term consequences, all because people don't want to make changes to their diet and lifestyle. We are creating our own demise. No disease is on the decline, no. Every single disease is increasing, all because we are too lazy. Intellectual laziness is a real thing. It is a real thing, and we need to curb that. I didn't write my book for joke, right? It is the only book written in the world on the root cause of diseases, right? And people would still doubt that, but I can't get a negative review on the book yet. I want somebody to try to critique that book. Try to critique it and see if you could, right? See if you could bash the science in it, right? People need to understand, and this is why I have my consultations, because my consultations go directly into dealing with your specific issues, and I will show them the science behind it. I've had people come to me, Stefan, say they've been going by doctors for years and they can't tell them what's wrong with me. And when they come by me, I just pull it up and show them exactly what's causing their issues, and they are in shock to know that this is concrete scientific information, how they were never told that is what was causing their issues. But they're running, doing tests on top of tests, years after years, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars spending. And the problem still, they have reversed people's issues that they have had issues for decades, right? For decades. So I really do hope that people, come on, all in fed up of being sick, right? Yeah. They ain't fed up. Get my book, book a consultation, come and see me.
All right, so we want to remind you guys that you can check out Chetwayo board. He has the holistic health clinic, of course, and set the numbers to call.
279-3935 and 761-1952.
Right. And if you need the book or you want to get your hands on the book, you go to RIK bookstores nationwide. You could call Set on those 2 numbers that he just gave you there. Or you could check it out on Amazon and Nelson's in Tobago and Wales.
Nelson's in Tobago and Gumroad, which is for digital copy.
Gumroad, Gumroad is a digital copy? All right, no problem.
Yeah, Gumroad is a digital copy, yeah.
All right, well, Set, thanks a lot for the time, and we will talk again next week, man.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
All right, cool, man.
Yeah.
Yep, that's Chetwayo aboard. So I'll tell you what, people, we got to take a break. When we come back from the break, I have one other...
If you want to understand what's really happening inside your body, I break it down in detail in my book, You Are Not Sick, You Are Malnourished. It's available on Amazon and Gumroad, RIK bookstores nationwide, Nelson's bookstore in Tobago, or directly through the clinic.